Louis Cardinals tonight. Chris Duncan gets a start in left field tonight. Otherwise, pretty much the same unit for Tony La Russa, with the pitcher batting eighth, Brendan Ryan, who hit a home run last night. Not good enough to get out of the 9-hole.
Well, I think Livan has been everything that you've wanted. Jerry Manuel was talking before the game about his health. He's 100% healthy, and that's why he's pitching the way he is. Very savvy out there, but also doing a great job with runners in scoring position. They're only 4 for 38 off Livan so far.
13 starts, only 1 loss. That came on April the 23rd, exactly 2 months ago, against the Cardinals, who beat him down for 7 runs and 9 hits in 4 1/3. It starts to rain as the game begins, and Skip Schumacher takes outside for ball 1.
I don't see the rain.
Do you see the fans fleeing from the stands?
Oh, I do see it
cover?
now.
And it's taken off the outside corner by Schumacher, 2-0. What a weather pattern we've been in here in New York. It's just unbelievable.
Well, it's been consistent. Nice stationary front.
A little too stationary for my taste. Livan, over his last 9 starts, 4-0 with a 3.24 ERA, 7 terrific innings. His last time out in Baltimore. He left that game against the Orioles with the lead, but that was the blown save by Francisco Rodriguez, and Livan was denied a victory.
It's just hard to believe, isn't it? It did not rain until Livan threw the first pitch.
He didn't do any kind of dance, did he?
Hopefully not.
2-2 to Schumacher, and he comes inside with the fastball, 3-2. Chris Duncan on deck, and then Albert Pujols. And what Tim Redding did so well last night was to put himself in positions to face Pujols with the bases empty. Might be harder for Livan here as he walks the leadoff hitter, Skip Schumacher.
Well, we'll take a look at the Metsy Lexus defense here. You can see Tatis back in left field, and again, we mentioned it in Baltimore. No errors behind Livan, and that's because he throws strikes, only 22 walks, and 79 and 2/3, even though he had the leadoff walk here. Santos gets another start behind the plate.
Here's the dangerous Chris Duncan, having a rough go of it this year. Just 5 home runs, 31 RBIs, and a .255 batting average for Duncan.
Well, a lot of the power numbers are down.
Not for Albert Pujols.
No.
Grounded foul, and it's 1-1.
Well, one thing Livan has been the master of, and that is when he has been in trouble, Gary, Ron, he has thrown up the double play.
Well, it's really been the story of Livan's career, hasn't it? I mean, he's always allowed tons of base runners, particularly base hits, and yet with men on base, he thrives.
Well, he's a bend, not break kind of pitcher, and he does not get kind of alarmed when he has people on base. He still tries to execute.
Good off-speed pitch from Duncan in this 1-2.
A good changeup away, starts right on that corner, and great movement off the plate.
I guess the question is, Ronnie, for a pitcher like Livan, what accounts for the bend part of bend but don't break?
Well, I think that what happens for Livan is that if he tried to pitch a la Tommy Glavine, he doesn't have that kind of control, so he'd end up walking a lot of people. So he's going to give up some base hits, and he knows that. But I think he's savvy enough to, when runners are on base, he realizes that his heartbeat does not go up, but the hitters does. And they're trying real hard to drive in these runs, and he uses all that energy, extra energy the hitters have, impatience that they have, he uses it against them.
2-2 to Duncan.
Now the problem here, though, he got him to swing over a changeup, but changeup with a guy on first to a left-handed hitter, always a dangerous pitch, because even if they hit it poorly, it's usually a ball that finds the hole between first and second.
Well, you got Castillo playing a little bit to pull here. He's going to have a hard time to get over to second base. Anything hits the opposite field on the ground.
To his right core, nice backhand, tough throw for Castillo to handle, and he gets the force play. Took a shot from Schumacher as he did. A twisting catch by Castillo as Cora's throw is a little offline.
Well, I told you about Castillo playing pull, and he's running to the bag and a running target for Cora, and he makes a nice recovery. It would have been difficult for Castillo with that momentum to turn 2 here. Let's see if he got it the first time.
I think he had it the first time, but tried to go back for it.
that he swept his leg across the bag as he caught that ball.
You know, what do they teach you, though, if you're middle infielder to keep on double play? You always have to be leery of a bad throw. Always have to anticipate that bad throw, and that's what Louis got.
So Pujols comes up with a man on base his first time up tonight. Leading the league in slugging percentage, on base percentage, homers, RBIs, runs scored.
Be curious to see Albert's approach. They got him out away, predominantly away yesterday. Let's see if he sits out there. The only pitch they threw Albert inside yesterday was Stokes, and it was a 1-1 pitch, 2 curveballs, and then made it 1-2 with that hard fastball, and then got him out with a breaking ball.
On the outside corner with the fastball, 1-1. Well, that was the biggest moment of the game last night, with the Mets nursing a 1-run lead in the 8th inning. Stokes came in and got Pujols to hit the comebacker into a double play.
All set up by the fastball in right there. And Stokes, nice job.
Brian Stokes has become something of a double play master. Here's the 2-1 to Pujols. Lifted to right field, and Church right there waiting for it. And so Levon gets out the Pujols first time around. Duncan stays at first with 2 out.
Can't hit a home run every time, Gary.
Well, that's, you know, it's interesting. Obviously, I don't know what provoked the response by Albert, but he was quoted after the game yesterday as saying, look, I'm human. What am I expected to hit the ball out of the ballpark every time? And unfortunately, when you get a position that Pujols is in, the answer is yes. Cardinal fans do expect him to hit one every time.
And so much is asked of Pujols in this lineup, with Ludwig and Ankiel struggling, slumping behind him. It's all the more weight of the world on Pujols' shoulders to drive in the big runs, and that weighs on someone. That's a burden, a tough burden.
Ludwig and Ankiel had big years last year, but they've both been hurt at times this season and not producing nearly as much.
Well, the Cardinals are the opposite of Mets. Mike Shannon, our friend, of course, who does the TV and radio for the Cardinals, has said they only score when they hit home runs. I mean, so that has been the opposite of what the Mets are trying to do by grouping base hits together.
Cardinals are 4th in the league in home runs. They're also 4th in the league in runs scored. So it's not as though their offense has been bereft. Slow curveball, and Ludwig taps it right back to Levon. Side retired. After the leadoff walk, Levon does what he does and gets the next 3 hitters. Mets come to bat with no score. Getting a second consecutive day off as the Mets continue to play around the difficulty in his knee, but without him and without all the other sluggers, the Mets had 14 hits last night, led by Santos's 4, and an old nemesis, Joel Pinheiro, on the mound tonight.
Hey, listen, don't be fooled by his numbers, 5 and 8. He's been outstanding all season long. Only 11 base on balls. His last 5 starts where he is 0 and 5, they have scored 8 runs for him, so he's just not gotten any support of late.
Cora, 2 hits, 2 RBIs last night, has a 7-game hitting streak going, and he takes ball 1. In fact, Pinheiro's numbers in some ways are ridiculous. Yeah. 13 starts, he's walked 11 and given up 2 home runs. He's completely remade himself.
Was it last year or 2 years ago that they pitched a big game in September? 2 years ago that really put a harpoon in the Mets season.
It was a makeup game that St. Louis had to come to Shea, fly here and play a game, and he threw a gem.
8 shutout innings for Pinheiro in that start. Yep. But the Pinheiro we saw then is a little different from the Pinheiro now. He's become a sinker ball pitcher.
Well, he used to be just 4 seams with that good breaking ball. When he first came up with Seattle, he was a kid that loved to punch people out. But again, back with Dave Duncan, who takes that macho out of you and makes you pitch. The craft of pitching, the art of pitching, and instead now sinks the ball, makes you hit ground balls.
Beat the Mets with 8 stellar innings back in April in St. Louis. Gave up just 2 runs and 6 hits in that game. Cora bounces one to the right side. Pujols comes in to play the hop. That's the first out.
Nice play by Albert. They're coming in hard and getting the short hop in for all you kids out there. Always, if you can tag, if you're at first base, make the tag yourself. Keep the pitcher out of them. Rest. And of course, we're looking at the Cardinal defense now, and Pujols, the Gold Glove winner in 2006. And he is all everything, obviously.
Here's Daniel Murphy, 2 for 5 last night, including his 5th home run of the year. And Murphy over the last 6 games hitting .385. So his bat has really perked up over the last week.
Well, this was his home run last night on a changeup over the middle. Kept his hands back, well balanced. Let go with one hand and showed some pop. 5th home run of the year.
Off the end of the bat, in comes Ryan, throwing across his body and in time to get Murphy for the 2nd out.
Boy, nice play by Ryan there. And we saw last night Khalil Green at third base is really a shortstop and just been moved over to third. And he probably should have come across and taken this ball instead of the shortstop, Ryan. But nice play by Ryan throwing on the run. Nice stretch by Albert.
Ryan's got the old school socks, the old school play, doesn't he?
And when he comes to play the Mets in New York, he's got the long ball going for him too.
He's got the pop.
Here's David Wright, still leading the National League in batting at .349 after going 1 for 3 with a couple of walks last night. Batting here with 2 out and nobody on, and he takes low and away from Pinheiro.
It needs to be said, Pinheiro now with 2 ground balls. He's getting ground balls, what, at a 57% clip, just about that?
His ground ball to fly ball ratio is 2.46 to 1. That's the 2nd highest in the National League. Aaron Cook is the ground ball specialist for Colorado, and he leads the league in ground ball fly ball ratio. The 2-1 to right, and he grounds one down to Green. And Khalil with the overhand toss. So 3 ground ball outs for Joel Pinheiro, and he's off to a good start, as is Livan Hernandez. We head for the 2nd. Stroke, stroke, stroke. No score.
Mush. Where's Washington?
water there.
Yes.
Rick Ankiel pops up the first pitch of the second inning. Hora back to call, and Tatis in the last moment calls him off for the first out. Here's your deep around the majors for tonight. Last night, Javier Vasquez, 6 2/3 innings. Cubs had 10 hits, but got shut out 2-0 by the Braves. Trevor Cahill for the Oakland A's, 7 innings, 4 hits, beat the Giants 5-1. And the Rockies keep on rolling. 17 of their last 18, 9 in a row on the road, as Brad Hopp hit a 3-run homer and beat the Angels 11-1. Here's Yadier Molina taking a strike.
Well, it's interesting what the A's are trying to do with all their young starting pitching. Same with the Washington Nationals. Just have had enough with veteran pitchers who are not getting it done. They decide get a lot invested. Might as well let these young guys come up and earn their stripes in the big leagues.
Well, I've got an extension to Jeep around the majors. Escape from Philadelphia. The Phillies finally got out of their home ballpark to go on the road, and they get 6 runs in the first inning at Tampa Bay.
Jamie Morey's got to love it. He's got a 6th spot to work with.
Got those 6 off David Price. John Mayberry with a 3-run homer, subbing for Raul Ibanez.
That's his 3rd or 2nd home run.
At least his 3rd.
Yes.
Khalil Green on deck. Ivana had 1-2 on Molina, and he misses with the slider.
I mean, you just have so much money invested in these guys. Who knows what Strasburg is going to sign with for the Nationals? I mean,
yes.
You know, what do you want him down in Peoria? I mean, come on, might as well let him throw that 100-mile-an-hour fastball in Nationals Park.
Hernandez strikes out Molina for the second out. That's the first strikeout for Ivana.
Well, with that kind of a bonus that he's going to get, Strasburg, he's got to be buying those minor leaguers dinner.
That's right.
Dinner? They'll be buying 3 meals a day.
They only eat buffet down there, you know.
Morrison's, right?
That's right, Morrison's.
Here's Khalil Green. Recently back from the disabled list. Came back and hit home runs in 3 straight games. Went 1 for 3 last night.
Hit the ball hard all 3 times.
And he hits this one well to right center field. Chasing back is Fernando Martinez, and he runs it down. So Fernando with his first chance in center field. And the Cardinals are out 1-2-3 in the second. Off in the second inning for New York. Fernando getting his second straight start in left field, batting cleanup. And he grounds the first pitch down to Khalil Green. 4 batters, 4 ground balls for Joel Pinheiro. So the sinker working tonight. A limited number of tickets for this weekend's Subway Series games are available at Mets.com or by phone at 718-507-TIXX. Get your Subway Series tickets now. So 1 pitch and 1 out for Pinheiro in the second, and now Ryan Church 1 for 3, hit a long sacrifice fly to the center field fence last night.
4 straight ground balls from Pinheiro.
Ronnie, how radical is it for a guy to remake himself like this in mid-career?
Well, I think it is, because what happens is that you've been throwing one way, if you think about it, for 25 to 30 years before you make that change. That's the hard part, to lose a lot of that muscle memory that you've always had. That's how you've always pitched. But I think that it depends on who you hear it from, and sometimes it depends on how low you've gone down. Sometimes when your career has bottomed out, you'll listen to that first voice that makes sense for you to move forward. And certainly Duncan has been that for Pinheiro.
Ryan positioned perfectly for that ground ball. That's 5 straight grounders from Pinheiro. What about the physical aspect of it, the difference between throwing that 2-seamer consistently and throwing the 4-seamer?
Well, the problem is that the guys that throw a 4-seamer, usually they have trouble throwing a sinker, because I can teach anyone tomorrow how to throw, how to make the ball sink, but the real good sinker ball pitchers are the guys that it's an innate ability. They've had that sink on the ball since they were 6 years old. So I think the key for Pinheiro is that, yes, he does get good sink on his fastball, but it's not radical sink. But he's combined that with throwing that ball, let's say to Santos, the sinker in, the slider away, the changeup in, looks like the changeup, looks like the fastball. So all those combination of pitches gets him the ground balls.
And he gets ahead on Santos 0-2.
And something he didn't do when he's in Seattle. He's throwing strikes. He's limiting his pitches. He used to be called, when he was in Seattle, they used to call him 3-2 Joel. And we used to call it 3-2 Sid. 3-2 count almost every time the hitter's up there. He does not do that anymore.
Rick Rhoden was that way too. Rick Rhoden was 3-2 Rick.
He used to love to get the 3-2 because he could throw you that slider.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he did.
I always said if Rick Rhoden was pitched with the Pirates, so he came up with the Dodgers. If he had 5 extra miles on his fastball, Rick Rhoden would have been a Hall of Famer. Just didn't quite throw hard enough.
Santos watches just outside, 2-2. Well, Pinheiro looked like he was going to be a star when he first came up with the Mariners. Went 14-7 his first full year in the big leagues. 2-2 to Santos. Breaking ball pulled down to third. Green makes the toss across the diamond. Pinheiro's faced 6 batters, gotten 6 ground ball outs. Quite a start for the St. Louis right-hander. Now Livan Hernandez back to the mound for the third with no score. A world record. Get a ticket to the July 10th Mets game for the Wise Big City Crunch. The number 8 hitter, the pitcher Joel Pinheiro, leads off for the Cardinals in the 3rd inning.
So this turn through the order didn't work out for Tony La Russa. He's got his pitcher leading off in the 8th position.
Pinheiro, just an .094 lifetime hitter. But he drives one to left field. That's going to go over the head of Tatis and short hop the wall. Pinheiro hustling for second, and he's got the first hit of the night for either side. A ringing double. His first extra base hit of the season.
Well, maybe it did work out for Tony La Russa. That's the way he planned it.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, for an .098 hitter, he sure has a nice stance. He just short hopped to the wall there. There's a case where I think Levon just wanted to get a fastball in there for a strike run, and he jumped on it. There's Brad Thompson. He'll be starting, I think, tomorrow's game.
That's 5 extra base hits in Pinheiro's career in 282 at bats.
Wow. Say he's a pin hitter. Well, wants it away, Ron, and it is down Broadway and up.
Keith, what did you hit on that pitch in your career? That pitch right there.
Brendan Ryan looking to bunt. Did he offer it that? Apparently not. 1-0.
Brought it back.
No, he didn't. It looked like he offered at it, didn't
Let's
it?
see. No, he brought it back.
You're very forgiving, Keith.
Maybe the.
See, even Levon's asking, was that a strike? Jerry Meals is saying, no, it wasn't. It was a ball, and now he's holding time. Wait a minute, he offered it that.
They never asked the first base umpire, I don't believe, Mike DeMuro.
And now you have no chance because too much time has passed.
The home plate umpire's option to get help.
I think that Levon assumed that was a strike.
Levon is a good fielder, so David's got to be careful over there. You might be able to make a play on the pitcher. Levon gets over there pretty quickly.
Nicely bunted and not advancing Pinheiro. The throw to first not in time. Hernandez figured he had to play at third, but Pinheiro never broke.
Keith, this is where the catcher's got to help here.
Yes, and Santos has got to be yelling first. He's pointing, so I got to believe he's yelling. So Levon just didn't hear him. And that's hustling by Ryan right there. And I'll tell you what, pretty good base running by the pitcher there.
It'll be scored a bunt single for Brendan Ryan, but Levon not happy at all with that.
Was Tony put the bunt on with Schumacher?
Why not?
I think so.
Yes.
Because you're definitely going to pitch to Duncan with Pujols behind him.
There's the defense right there, and they're playing in for the bunt.
And Schumacher bunts one right along the line, but a foul ball. Santos pouncing on it, hoping that it would stay fair, but it was foul. Alex Cora sensing Levon's frustration, coming into the mound for a conversation.
It's a dicey play right here for a first baseman. I never liked in a situation where the manager could take the bunt off, and right there you cannot play with a left-hand hitter. You cannot play aggressively in and give too much of that hole. La Russa could take the bunt off. He can pull it by you.
And the bunt is off, but he fouls it off. And it's 0-2.
Good call, Keith. Sometimes the defense will dictate what a manager does.
I've always liked the play when a lot of times the manager will do it in reverse. He'll give the batter the first strike swing, Lonnie, and then go to the bunt. La Russa did it just the opposite there.
Now it's 0-2, and Schumacher fouls him back. Well, from a defensive standpoint, would you fake as though you're playing for the bunt and then back up? You ever do that?
You can't back up. You can only back up, Gary, if once you feel in your mind that the hitter is going to attack the ball and is not going to square around.
Rain starts to come down again, and Schumacher grounds one down to Murphy. Nice short hop. The throw to second gets by Cora. Trickling behind him, and Pinheiro breaks for the plate and scores. The other runners advance to second and third, and the Cardinals take a 1-0 lead. Nice pickup by Murphy, but the throw was not a good one.
Well, Murph's a work in progress. Does everything right, Gil. You're absolutely correct. Gets the short hop. No wasted motion. Just the throw. Didn't execute the throw. And nice job by Ryan. He's entitled to around 2 feet on the outside from that line to make it tough for him, the first baseman, to make the throw. So that's perfectly legal right there. He's not out of the baseline. That's a smart move by Ryan.
Keith, the only problem with there is that Daniel just rushed that throw. He was trying to get 2 before he got 1, and that's the problem.
So it's an error on Murphy. No RBI. Rain comes down harder as Duncan pops it a mile high. Castillo tracking it through the raindrops and makes the grab for the first out of the inning. So Duncan going after the first pitch. And now you've got to walk Pujols.
I would think. Yep.
Well, there are certain times with a guy like this who is such a centerpiece of the offense, even though it's the third inning, it's just a no-brainer.
And plus you have Ludwig behind him. Of course, he had a 2-run home run last night, but his average is not there, and he's also a double play threat. So all things working in your direction to have some success. Not a lot of success against number 5.
And I know I stated last night that I'm not in favor of, walking when they were walking Bonds all those times in the 90s and early 2000s. In this case, I agree 100%.
So Ludwig will get the opportunity with the bases loaded. 23rd intentional walk that Pujols has gotten this year. Nobody else in the league has more than 10. In fact, Pujols has more intentional walks than 26 other major league teams.
Got to watch on this first pitch. Ludwig with the bases loaded tends to be very aggressive.
Ludwig's been out in front.
Yeah.
And they've gotten him out away, and he's got to try to go the other way. The ball he hit out yesterday was a hanger over the middle.
Ludwig, a comebacker his first time up, and he takes a strike.
See, more and more hitters, Ronnie, when a pitcher's in trouble, runners in scoring position, taking that first strike. And I just never want to let a pitcher get that first strike on you.
Especially that was just a little spinner there.
Yep.
And Ludwig lays off 1-1. Ludwig had a grand slam in Kansas City last Friday. 11 home runs on the year, with Ankiel on deck. Ludwig had a breakout season last year with 37 home runs. Here's the 1-1, and that's on the outside corner. 1-2.
Good slider right there. Let's see if he tries to dart him and pitch him a fastball away. Just try to get a call from Jerry Meals, maybe 3, 4, 5 inches away.
Up and away with the fastball. 2-2.
Levon has been missing with that pitch. Everything set up with the fastball, Ronnie, and he's missed, I think, 2 hitters with a strikeout. Tried to sneak that fastball away, thinking of getting Ludwig looking for a slider.
I don't like, I mean, if you make a perfect pitch, of course, you're going to get Ludwig on the slider, but the slider is the dangerous pitch for him because it just speeds up his bat. We saw it last night against Timmy Redding.
Threw that slow curve to get him the last time on the comebacker. Struck him out. There's a big strikeout for Levon Hernandez, his second of the night. Now 2 out.
Not a good at bat for Ludwig. You see him flying out there, his fanny flying out. There it goes. Once that happens, you're done.
Keith, Ludwig has had some great success in the past couple of years hitting home runs, especially last year. You get to a point where your home run totals are down and you start to swing for the home run, trying to hit the ball to the park?
I just think he's in a slump right now. He and both Keel are both struggling. Keel right now looks like he can't handle a pitch above his waist. He's a low ball hitter. But Ludwig looks like he only handles something middle in to get him out away. And that's all about getting out too quick.
Ankiel fly to left his first time up. Bases loaded, 2 down. And Ankiel fouls it back. And now Levon 1 pitch away from getting out of trouble.
Boy, it's really raining, isn't it?
It's picked up in intensity over the last few minutes.
That rain sometimes restricts what you can do with the breaking pitch. The ball gets wet. As Santos calling time again, going to his veteran pitcher. He wants to make sure, 1, either they change the signs up with Schumacher on second base, or 2, he's really asking Levon, what do you want to do 0-2 here against Ankiel? Do you want to show him something in and then go away?
Is it a little easier in the rain, though, for a pitcher like Levon who has such an easy motion as opposed to a long stride?
Absolutely, because he can almost shorten up his stride. Like the way you walk when you have an icy driveway.
0-2 to Ankiel, and it's taken high.
You're right, Chief. That fastball again is that pitch that comes back. But usually when it's going well for Levon, it's about thigh high. All of those have been up in the strike zone.
Dale Scott is the crew chief. It's his call on whether to stop this game. 1-2 to Ankiel. In tight. 2-2.
They're going to try to hope to get through this inning. It's coming down.
Well, in the infield, you can see already.
And now they're going to stop it right here.
Yep.
And I think that's the key. Once that infield starts to look shiny, you really don't have a choice, because then you risk somebody getting hurt. So at 7:48 p.m., the game is stopped with the bases loaded, 2 out, and a 2-2 count to Rick Ankiel. And it will resume at a very key juncture in this game, because it's 1-0 Cardinals. The Mets are offensively challenged right now. Pinheiro looks like he's on his game early, and when Levon goes back to the mound, he's going to have a huge pitch to make right from the outset.
But it's pretty funny. It doesn't matter what happened in this at bat against Ankiel, because when they go back, even though he'll have the memory of the pitches that Levon threw, it's almost like they're starting anew. Advantage Hernandez, absolutely.
I agree 100%. You hated to get back in the box in the middle of an at bat, whatever the count was.
Well, you know what the good thing about this rain delay is? For the first time this regular season, we're going to take phone calls. Rain delay is brought to you by Select Spiders. I think we took calls once or twice during spring training this year, but I don't think we've had the opportunity to do it. And this is already the 69th game of the year, so it's about time. So if you want to call the booth and talk with Keith and Ron and even me, 212-BUZZ-SNY. 212-BUZZ-SNY, and we'll get your phone calls on as the grounds crew performs the unenviable task of covering up this infield, which has already taken a lot of water, which means that when they pull that tarp off, it's going to take them a while to get that infield ready.
Phone calls, you say? Keith and I are both texting our agent. We're not sure. No, we're totally into it. No, why not?
All you folks calling in, make your questions very concise, to the point.
On the contrary, Keith, we've got the rain delay. We've got all the time we need. They can do a soliloquy. The grounds crew having trouble getting that tarp all the way across the field because
it's heavy.
The rain fell so fast. Well, you've got a situation with 2 veteran pitchers where, if you have a rain delay that is let's say a half an hour long. What's the challenge for a pitcher to come back?
Well, one, there's no challenge for Levon, because this has probably happened to him 50 times over his career. Secondly, he's going to be warming up on the mound that he's going to be pitching on. Advantage Hernandez. And I think third, and even more importantly, I think he will be out there and he will know what has happened with Ankiel. They'll be able to start anew. And on a 2-2-2 count, what happens if he comes out with that Bugs Bunny changeup curveball? I mean, there's no way that Ankiel can swing at something like that. So it gives a lot of options for Levon. Veteran pitchers don't worry about that kind of stuff. If you had a young pitcher, you might be reticent about, boy, he's thrown some pitches. Do I throw him back out there in the bad weather? With Levon, he's a horse. You just say, you know what? Let him go. He'll be ready to go. I don't care if it's an hour and a half rain delay. Levon still will pitch.
What about from the hitter's standpoint? beginning of spring training, and lo and behold, here he is, and not just a member of the team, but a very important piece.
And he was low on that totem pole. I mean, it was Redding if he was healthy. He wasn't. It was Garcia was their next choice, but he couldn't get anyone out. And Levon won by not default because he pitched so well in spring training.
He was the overwhelming choice. So here we go, ready to resume in a very key moment in the top of the third with a run already in, bases loaded, 2 out, and a 2-2 count to Rick Ankiel as we resume.
And Hernandez and Santos, during the rain delay, had to talk about what pitch they were going to go to. No need to even give a sign, really. You'll know exactly what you're going to do.
This is the important pitch. I would be very surprised if it was a fastball.
Very interesting. Levon delaying a little bit, taking his time. Ankiel in the box, ready to go. He's going to go when he wants to.
Castillo playing in the outfield grass at second base.
Here we go, a 2-2 count to Ankiel with the bases loaded. And he hits one in the air to right field, playable for Ryan Church. So Levon throws one pitch after the rain delay, gets the fly ball out, and puts it into the top of the third with only the 1 run scoring. Start tonight, retiring all 6 batters, all 6 on ground balls. Now a 52-minute rain delay, and back out there for the third.
Question for you, Ron. This is how long was the rain delay, Gary?
52 minutes.
That's not long enough to have both pitchers exit, Ron? What is the threshold?
Not this early in the game.
There's a lot of factors. How veteran a pitcher you have, how many innings pitched so far, and how long the rain delay is. An hour is not a long rain delay, especially early in the game. It's only the 3rd inning. So anyone, I think, in baseball would be back in this game.
Piñero's thrown only 22 pitches. Fernando Martinez is up to lead off the bottom of the 3rd, and Fernando takes ball 1. Fernando arrived during the game yesterday, recalled from Buffalo after spending just, 3 days back in the minor leagues. It's the 2-hopper to short, and Brennan Ryan with the overhand throw. 7 batters, 7 ground balls for Piñero. 1 out in the 3rd.
Picks up right where he left off. Another ground ball. A lot of folks still here. No one left, that's for sure.
Now Luis Castillo, who had a big night last night. Louis went 3 for 3 and an intentional walk, scored a couple of runs, even drove in a run by driving a double to left center. And he takes a strike from Piñero. Well, the Mets have been very adept at working the count. It's been one of the hallmarks of this team all year as Castillo shoots one up the middle, and the Mets have their first base runner of the game. I was going to say, it doesn't pay to do it against a good pitcher like Piñero, who is just out there throwing strike after strike.
can't work a count against guys throwing a strike. I think the key is what Louis just did there. You're going to have to try to hit that ball up the middle. Try not to pull from either side of the plate.
So now Livan Hernandez comes to bat. Livan 3 for 23 this year. 6 sacrifices.
Livan is a very accomplished bunter, and he can bunt down up the first base line and down the third base line. And he's very casual with his bunting too. He's just very confident.
Well, that's very Russa-like. He'll have the pitcher on the first pitch. When a pitcher is going to be bunting, throw the ball to first base to see if Livan will tip off his hand. But Livan will tip off that he's bunting, then he'll bring it back like he's hitting, and then he'll come back for the bunt.
Takes ball 1. Would you consider, with a guy like Livan who makes pretty good contact, Pinheiro, who's not a strikeout pitcher, would you consider playing hit and run here?
Oh, absolutely. Livan in the past. Now, I don't know if Jerry feels the same way about Livan, like his past managers, Frank Robinson, etc., but they used him in pinch and run opportunities all the time.
I wouldn't, to be honest with you. I would never hit and run with a pitcher.
Lays down a beauty of a bunt, and Pinheiro makes the play to Pujols. 1-3 on the sacrifice, moving Castillo to second. So that's the 7th sacrifice bunt of the year for Livan, who has that skill as well.
Well, you're helping yourself, it's called.
Well, one of the great ways to be a good bunter is to be relaxed at the plate. I don't know if there's anyone more relaxed in that dugout than Livan Hernandez.
Well, last night Alex Cora had a pair of RBI hits. His first one came with 2 out in the 6th, and he's got a runner in scoring position here with 2 out. Cora grounded out to Pujols his first time up.
Nice little backdoor curve. Right, second time through the order here. Cora in RBI situations really shortens up. You just can't feed a sinker out there on the outside corner. He can just place it right out into left field for a base hit.
And Cora grounds this one to Schumacher. So Pinheiro, 9 ground ball outs in the first 3 innings. Works around his first hit of the night, and we head to the 4th. We'll be back, but first here's Matt Cerrone from MetsBlog.com at the Verizon studio. In the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY. Yadier Molina leads off the 4th inning. Cardinals with a 1-0 lead. Molina struck out his first time up. Molina hitless in his last 10 at bats as he continues to play every day for the Cardinals. This is their 71st game. Molina has started 63 of the 71. He's still young. 1-1 to Molina, with Khalil Green and the pitcher Pinheiro to follow. That's 6, 7, and 8 in the Cardinal batting order. Teased him away, 1-2.
He's got Molina talking to himself.
Well, Levon is the kind of pitcher, you see Khalil Green on deck, that you take, what is it called, the comfortable 0 for 4. You can't believe you didn't get a hit at the end of the game.
Fastball fouled off.
I mean, he's throwing 84, 85 miles an hour. He's got a little bit of a slider. He'll throw you that big kind of curveball. He'll take a little off. I don't even call it a changeup to lefties. He just kind of takes a little bit off to get them out front.
I mean, you see that nice easy motion, you think you're taking BP.
Well, he's someone described it as savvy today. He's very savvy. He's got lots of guts. He knows how to pitch. And a la Greg Maddux, of course, and Greg is the top of the food chain of doing this. The batter dictates a lot of the pitches that Levon will throw. They're way out in front. He'll take more off.
Little tapper, and Molina slamming down the bat in frustration as Levon had him. One away. That'll bring up Khalil Green with 1 out. Let's check in with Kevin.
You touched on it last night a little bit about Green missing time due to social anxiety disorder, and I had a pretty frank conversation with him about it yesterday. And quite honestly, it's the longest I've ever talked to him. Usually, he's a very keep to himself type guy. He was very open about it, and he said, "You know what? For me, I just need to be back on the field. It got to the point for some reason or another that it was a job and it wasn't fun." And he said, "I know it's a great job, but the bottom line is if you're not enjoying it." I just wasn't feeling it. So, got away from the game, got some help. And he said, the one thing I'll say is this, with all that's happened to me, how I left San Diego and here, teammates here have been so incredibly great. So he's trying to put on a face and move forward and just get back to enjoying the game. And he says, really, because of his teammates, he is already. Guys?
Slow curve popped a mile high. And Castillo waiting for it to come down. 2 hands after the second out. Every time Castillo settles under a pop-up, the crowd rises in anticipation, and Luis come to accept it laughingly.
He hears it. He's already smiling. It's all good stuff.
Well, you talked about the lightness. I think you see it right there. As Pinheiro takes a strike. Pinheiro doubled and scored the only run of this game. And he drives another one to left center. And that finds the grass. Cut off by Tatis, and this time Pinheiro will stop at first. So Joel Pinheiro is 2 for 2. Lifetime 094 hitter, not tonight.
It's a heck of an 8th place hitter, Keith.
Absolutely. A slider here. He got him on a fastball last at bat. And then Levon mixes a slider and got it up. Nice hitting.
We usually talk about that 8-hitter clearing the pitcher spot. He's cleared the shortstop spot. So here's Ryan, who was looking to sacrifice in the 3rd inning, and oddly enough, he didn't advance the runner with his bunt, but he got a base hit.
Razor Shine's coming out, moving all the outfielders, of course, towards right field. And that's very important tonight because you have an inexperienced center fielder who doesn't know where to play. So Razor Shines really is the conduit to Martinez from Jerry Manuel on where to play these hitters.
This is a predominantly right-hand hitting lineup, and Levon's been just pretty much on the outside corner most of the night. So pitching away, playing away.
Santos got nailed by that one.
Oh, that got him good.
Right in the jaw. I was talking about Razor Shines. What they do is they have a book on the bench on where to play hitters, and Razor sometimes will hold a piece of scrap paper in his back pocket so he can go right to it and know where to play guys. But really, his job tonight is to look at Fernando Martinez and move him accordingly. Something he never has to do when Carlos Beltran's in center field.
Well, also because when Beltran's out there, he'll move the other guys. And so not only don't you have to worry about moving Beltran, you don't have to worry about whoever's playing left field, because Carlos will take care of that as well. Now on 2-1, Ryan takes it low. Brendan Ryan, who 2 years ago hit his first major league home run at Shea Stadium. He hit his first of this season last night at Citi Field.
He's only got 5 total, right, for his career?
He'll be wearing an I Love New York sticker. Popped up. Santos coming back, but that's in the crowd.
This ballpark will have the least amount of hop to twos in the scorecards of all the ballparks in baseball.
That's because the fans are so close. There's so much, so little foul territory.
Especially directly behind home plate. A little more on the first and third base lines in front of the dugouts.
Absolutely nothing down the right and left field lines.
Pinheiro will run 3-2 and 2 down. And Ryan rolls over one down to third. Right with a quick toss in time to get Ryan, and that retires the side. So other than holding down Joel Pinheiro, no sweat for Livan Hernandez tonight. He's down 1-0. At 90 miles an hour, and Livan Hernandez at 87. As we head for the bottom of the fourth inning, and the Mets look to get something gathered against Mr. Pinheiro, who has been the master of the ground ball tonight. 9 outs, all on grounders.
And just giving up one base hit, and that was to Castillo last inning. We'd call on cruise control right now, but second time through the order.
It'll be Murphy, Wright, and Tatis, 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order for the Mets in the home fourth. Murphy hit a slow ground ball to short his first time up.
A little repair there on the.
Well, the signs flip over sometimes.
Right.
They get stuck in bad weather, so they had to do a little resetting the tumblers.
Every mechanism has its own technician. There's a curveball for a strike to Murphy. Pinheiro throwing first pitch strike after first pitch strike. That was just his 31st pitch to start the fourth inning. 1-1 to Murphy.
Interesting how Murph doesn't step out of the box in between pitches.
Another ground ball for Ryan to handle. Well, this will keep the infielders on their toes all night.
Oh, I'll tell you what. When you're a player, Gary, defensive player, you want every ball hit to you. You love a guy that puts it in play.
All right, so what's the major league record for putouts by a first baseman?
Oh, I don't know.
This Pujols is 10 for 10.
Wow, that's a good, very good here. You've got that analytical mind.
It's got to be 20 plus, right?
I'm sure it's like 22, 23, somewhere in there. We'll look it up. Actually, Dave will look it up. Go ahead, Dave.
You focus on the play-by-play.
Well, I can multitask. I know you can. Here's Devin Wright, and he takes a fastball for a strike. If you could find the information on your phone, you'd have it in a heartbeat. David grounded out to third his first time, and he takes a strike. 0-2.
Took 2 fastballs. Maybe David was looking for a slider.
Tatis hitting cleanup again tonight, waiting on deck. And right down swinging, 3 pitches from Pinheiro, and he has his first strikeout of the night.
That's a little changeup, I think, because only 84 miles an hour. He's throwing his fastball 89 to 90. Gary, you were asking before, how hard is it to change from a 4-seamer to a 2-seamer? Every pitcher has some cheese-mo in them. And to go from throwing the ball 92 to throwing a 2-seamer where it's never going to be more than 88 or 89, that's something hard to do for a lot of pitchers. Pinheiro has bought it. Hook, line, and sinker.
Grounded down to third. Another chance for Khalil Green. And he throws out Tatis to end the inning. Mets have had just 1 base runner in the first 4 innings, and Pinheiro's got 11 ground ball outs. TV and access Mets blog, one of the most popular online sources for Mets information, with ongoing fan discussions, opinion, game analysis, and exclusive player and coach interviews. Mets blog featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Third time around the batting order for the Cardinals. Skip Schumacher leads off against Livan Hernandez and takes ball 1.
Boy, it hasn't been easy for Livan. It always seems like Livan is pitching in tight ball games. He should have more than 5 wins here. He has had some leads that the bullpen has blown. He could very easily have 8 wins at this point in the season.
And here he is. After 13 starts, he has only 1 loss, and that was to the Cardinals 2 months ago. There are only 4 other pitchers who have come to the Mets and in their first 13 starts lost only 1 game. The last to do it was Pedro Martinez, who started out 7-1 in 2005 in his first 13 starts. Schumacher lines one into right, and he's on base for the 3rd straight time. A walk, an error, and now a base hit for Schumacher, the 4th hit off Livan.
Well, he fell behind the count there, came with a fastball. Nice hitting.
So now Duncan, and again this becomes an enormous batter because you got Pujols on deck, and you certainly don't want to face him with 2 men on. Duncan is hit into a fielder's choice and popped up 0 for 2. Mets have done a pretty nice job against Pujols so far, keeping him in check. But you don't want him up there in a game-breaking situation.
Well, last year in 2008, Albert hit .303 against the Mets with 2 home runs and 6 RBI.
He had a huge series against them in St. Louis back in April, and Livan missing badly with that first pitch to Duncan.
In career against the Mets, he's .304 with 194 at bats, 15 home runs, 44 ribeye steaks.
Well, the 3-game series at Busch Stadium, he had a couple of homers, 7 RBIs in the 3 games. Went 6 for 11 in that series. So the Mets did not have answers for Pujols in that 3-game set. Had a little more success so far in these 2 games. Duncan takes outside, and all of a sudden Livan behind 2-0. By the way, Ronnie has vacated.
Well,
not because he's taken the rest of the day off, only because he's now a traveling man. He is traveling down to an area somewhere behind home plate, down on the field level, to give us a little better perspective from down there.
Wondering where he went.
In the air to left field and deep. Tatis back, has room. And that's a long first out as Schumacher hustles back to first. So 1 out and 1 on. And now Pujols will stride to the plate.
There you see his number. Look at the on-base percentage, 446. Just think if they had a real bona fide cleanup hitter hitting behind him. A left-hand hitter at that. That'd be a little troublesome, wouldn't it?
It's already pretty troublesome. Albert leads the league in home runs and RBIs and on base percentage and slugging percentage and runs scored. Should we go on? 2-time MVP, including last season, and certainly has the wide early lead for MVP honors this year.
He's got that big widespread stance at home, feet far apart.
Again, Santos setting up away, and Livan throws a strike, 1-1.
He just kind of sits down. It seems like he gets his feet spread apart and then kind of sits. And the reason why he's such a great hitter is that he stays so level on the high pitch. You do not want to throw high pitches to this man. You're asking for trouble.
Schumacher diving back. Pujols has 3 career home runs against Livan Hernandez. Tonight he's flied to right and drawn a walk.
He's very deep in the box, as far back as he can get, almost out of the box it appears, but look how spread out he is.
Well, who knows where the batter's box is now. Fouled away, 1-2.
Well, he had a vicious cut on that one. Nope. Got a count in his favor, looked away, got it away, just got under it.
Ryan Ludwig waiting on deck. Would he think about surprising him inside?
He could. You might want to just throw one out there, see if he'll go fishing for a breaking ball. Santos sets up away.
And the curveball well outside, 2-2.
It's funny, you know, you saw the reaction of Livan there, Gary. He was mad at himself on that little Bugs Bunny curveball. But the fact that it's Pujols up here, not, say, someone like Khalil Green, he's really got to be fine with his pitches. So therefore more apt to miss badly.
Schumacher not a base stealer, and just inside, so he did try and come in, but he missed with it.
That came in and missed down low. So let's see if he goes back to back in. Somehow I think Pujols is going to be set up away. we'll see how this plays out.
Pujols doesn't strike out much. So Schumacher may well be in motion. He's running, and the curveball swung and missed. Santos with the throw, not in time. Levon strikes out Pujols with the curve, and Schumacher steals second.
Well, we're going to give you the pitch sequence here. First pitch, slider away, just missed. Fastball away, 1-1. Fastball belt high away, 1-2. Slow curve misses out and away. Fastball down and in low. Slow curve. Completely fooled Pujols. That was a pitch.
So a big out for Levon. Schumacher now at second with just his second stolen base of the year. And now Ludwig will try and get him in. Ludwig did comebacker and a strikeout tonight, 0 for 2. And it's outside. Well, Ronnie's made his way downstairs. Ronnie, did you get down in time to see that third pitch third strike curveball to Pujols?
You know, I had the whole at bat here. It was great. You guys were right on point. What you can see down here that you guys don't get to see is the frustration on Pujols as he tried to get through that at bat.
Church hurrying in to catch the pop up by Ludwig. We'll get much more from Ron from downstairs when we come back. We're halfway through at City.
Ball's best prospect in 30 years.
Keith, you said they hung the next 10 Musial on you. They hung the next Ted Williams on Darryl.
They sure did. I always thought he was more like Willie McCovey, to be honest with you. I thought he was going to be the next Willie McCovey, and he certainly had some great seasons. I had the great pleasure of playing with 3 great players that were young, were very talented. Dwight, Darryl, and Gary Templeton with the Cardinals.
Slow ground ball by Church. Pujols scoops and flips to Pinheiro for the first out. So 1 out and nobody on. Omir Santos coming up.
Another ground ball.
You know, it's interesting, guys. You saw Pinheiro cover first base. Almost looked like he sprained his ankle with the wet base, Keith. You know that in rain delays, that's the one thing you have to watch. You can slip across that bag. But we're talking about Pinheiro, and you know, why is he so tough to hit? Why so many ground balls? From this angle, Keith, you cannot pick up the baseball. He's got this bright red glove, and he kind of short arms it, and he keeps it right behind his back to the last second. And right for me, it's very hard to pick up that pitch to the last second.
Is that a great seat down there or what, Ron?
Oh boy, I tell you, I would.
Now, you sat down there at a similar location as Shea Stadium. Is it appreciably closer where you are now?
It's appreciably closer. I mean, I feel like I'm in Santos's back pocket, which is pretty amazing. The one thing at Shea is occasionally we would be right behind the plate, so I'd get a little better view of the sink and slide on the pitches of Pinheiro. But here I'm getting a great view, not only the cross angle, but also a great view of the catchers, Santos and Molina, and how they work. Here, Molina asking for this pitch down.
1-2 to Santos, who grounded out to third his first time up.
Do we dare tell the Met fans the Phillies score here?
They probably know. It's 10-1 Phillies in the 7th, so the Mets are not going to get any help tonight, not with the Phillies on the road, where they love life.
Oh boy, don't they?
They must be the best hotel team in the league.
Jeez.
Santos lifts one to center. First fly ball against Pinheiro. Boy, must have been lonely out in that outfield. Ankiel makes the play for the second out.
Well, interesting. I think it was a breaking pitch. That's why it got in the air, and he had it up.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Fernando Martinez, who grounded out to short his first trip. Fernando being asked to play center field now for a couple of weeks at least, with Carlos Beltran on the disabled list. And Jerry Manuel very openly said, hey, look, this is an experiment. He said, I have not seen enough of Fernando playing center field to have any idea whether he can handle himself out there.
You know, I heard you guys talking before about how Pujols gets spread out, tries to use those legs to springboard that swing. Martinez, a little bit of that same thing from the left side.
And he rips one down the right field line, a foul ball.
You're right, Ronnie. I almost think he's almost too spread out, and I think that's been his problem, is that he's open a little bit with his stance. When you overstride, it kind of locks your hips a little bit, although he did have good rotation there, but that was an off-speed pitch. I think he's having a hard time catching up with the good fastball. So it's pretty widespread right there. It's hard to rotate those hips when you stride that far.
Well, Keith, I think you're making a great point. I think that in any athletic endeavor, especially hitting, you're trying to hit around your hips and your core, aren't you?
Yes.
And the more you can keep those kind of loosey-goosey and have a great torque and swing, the more power you're going to generate.
Grounds this one to Schumacher. Well, for Joel Pinheiro, that's 15 outs. 13 of the 15 have come on ground balls. He's working on a one-hitter through 5. The Cardinals up 1-0. Recap, the Cardinals get an unearned run in the 3rd inning on a Daniel Murphy throwing error, and that has been it. Joel Pinheiro has been outstanding. 13 of his 15 outs on the ground. Livan Hernandez almost as good, but down 1-0 as we start the 6th.
Well, Levon got himself out of that jam in the third inning. Remember, back then, bases loaded, nobody, and I'm sorry, second and third, nobody out, and got out of it.
Rick Ankiel, who was at the plate when the rain delay came in the third inning, rolls the first pitch out to Cora, who makes the running toss right on target. One pitch and one out. Well, Tim Redding pitched last night for the Mets, and all this week we're going to be following what a starting pitcher does between starts. Kevin Burkhardt will follow that for us. Kevin?
I wonder what they do, and that's the big thing we're trying to find out. So I talked to Redding and just kind of follow him and find out exactly what his routine was. And it started last night when he came out of the game, going back and icing the shoulder and the elbow. He does that for 15 to 20 minutes after he comes out of the game each time. Then, of course, after the game last night, you've got the media, meeting the media with the horde at his locker, and that's probably about a 10-minute session or show, answering all the questions and going over the game strategy and things like that. And then you go to today. And today, basically, there's a lot of different elements to his day today. It's a light day after that as Molina goes the other way for a base hit for the Cardinals. And here's today when we talk about Redding, 25 to 30-minute cardio. He said he changes it up every time just to keep it fresh. He can do bike, treadmill, run on the field. He does lower body weight work and also core work. So he'll do some squats, isometrics, all kinds of core work with the ball and things like that. Catch and a long toss. He said the long toss, though, it depends. If I use my fastball a lot and kind of tax the arm more, I can actually skip the long toss in the first day. I'll always play catch. So for the most part, it's a light day. You want to get the work in, especially the weight work. You also want to remain comfortable, though. The big day for him will be tomorrow. That's when he throws his bullpen. We'll videotape that and get more of Redding tomorrow in day 2 after his start. Guys,
is the cone head a part of every pitcher's routine, or was that just a specialty for Redding?
Just a specialty, special thing, Gary.
Ronnie, you down there?
I am, buddy.
Did you throw bullpen on the second day after your start?
I did. I used to throw on the second day and the third day, Keith.
And more rigorous, obviously, on the third day?
No, more rigorous on the second day. The third day, just to fine-tune. The reason I did that because I had more of a sinker ball pitcher. So not the more tired I was, but I didn't want to have that live arm. I wanted to have that good sink on the baseball, so I'd throw on the side twice.
And so you threw off the mound 2 days in a row between starts?
Yes, the second day was a real vigorous throwing on the side. The second day really would be mostly fastballs inside and out, up and down, just working on the motion, but trying to just not tire the arm out, but to make sure that I wasn't too fresh because I wanted the ball to sink.
Ron, just forgive my ignorance. Just what is the definition of a rigorous bullpen session? How many pitches? At what percentage are you throwing your fastball and breaking stuff?
I always thought the rigorous bullpen session always depended, Keith, on how many breaking balls you were throwing. If you felt good enough to really throw your breaking ball and work on it, that was a rigorous session. If you didn't feel so great and your arm was a little tired, you spent more time throwing just fastballs inside and out. And as I got on later in my career when I didn't have a lot of bullets left, it really was just fastballs inside and out that I would work on the whole time. No breaking balls at all.
Was there a certain number of pitches that you threw, Ronnie, and did that decrease as you got older? Hit to short. Cora with the flip. Castillo the turn. Double play. Side retired.
Well, yes, it definitely did.
3 on the double play.
Definitely did, Gary. It got less as time went on.
Had a splendid night. 48 pitches through 5 innings. He's had just one base runner against him. Luis Castillo, who has the only hit for the Mets, will lead off in the bottom of the 6th. Ronnie, we were talking about between starts routines for pitchers and about bullpen sessions and how they vary based on your age, and do they vary based on your performance as well?
Oh, absolutely. If you go through a game, Gary, where you cannot get your curveball over, well, naturally, early in your career, you're definitely going to work on that curveball. I mean, it's so important. I think also, Kevin brought up a really good point, and that was as far as the cardio was concerned. Cardio, to me, was always the same to begin the season. If I rattled off 5 in a row, I certainly was not going to change what I was doing, the long running, the long tossing, the sprints, all that stuff. But if I lose 2 in a row, I'm changing up the cardio straight away. All of us ball players so superstitious.
You know what's very interesting? Jim Cott, my old teammate in '82 Cardinals, and was Pete Rose's pitching coach in Cincinnati when Pete was the manager. Jim Cott did not believe in his pitchers running. He thought they would get back problems. He put them on the stationary bike, and that's where they got their road work in. He went totally against tradition, Ron. I don't know if any pitching coach did put you on a bike or let you go on a bike, or did you prefer to run?
I prefer to run, Keith, and the reason being, and I think that Kitty, of course, who's so intelligent about the game, is probably right about the injury factor. But, one of the great things about being a starting pitcher is that the ultimate game for you is to start the game and to finish the game. And it's the same with running. Running, you have to start this long run and go through this entire process. It's going to have some pain, and if you finish it, that really leads some credence to how you pitch also.
Now Luis Castillo works out a leadoff walk, the first of the night for Pinheiro. So the Mets have now had 2 base runners, and they've both been Castillo, who was on base 4 times in a row last night. So now Livan Hernandez with the tying run at first and nobody out. First time in the game the Mets have gotten the leadoff man on.
Well, that'll always get the opposing manager and pitching coach a little nervous. Leadoff walks always find a way to score. Not always, the great percentage score.
And for Pinheiro, only the 12th man he's walked in 88 2/3 innings this year. His control has been impeccable.
There again, Ronnie mentioned with La Russa on a bunt situation, always have the pitcher throw over to the first baseman to see if the pitcher commits and gives away the bunt.
Is there any doubt he's bunting here?
He's got to bunt.
Livan sacrificed successfully in the 3rd inning.
You know what I found interesting, Keith and Gary, in the last bunt by Hernandez is, despite the goal that Albert Pujols has at first base in 2006, he did not charge the bunt very aggressively in Hernandez's last at bat.
Well, look at his feet, Ronnie, how he's positioned. He's not in a position to charge home. He should be. See, he's playing with his.
And a hit and run, but Hernandez misses it, and Castillo is thrown out.
Wow.
So Jerry did try to play hit and run with Hernandez, but didn't get a pitch to hit, and Castillo is gunned down at second base.
Well, I know Jerry feels like he's challenged offensively, but I just think this is not a wise move. One, you've got top of the order coming up. You're kind of late in the ball game here, bottom of the 6th, and you've got one of the best throwing catchers in the game in Molina.
And now Livan fouls one at the plate, 0-2. Well, it's funny how things work out. Pinheiro has been getting no swings and misses all night. Mets have been making contact all night. You've got Livan who can make contact, but now he throws a pitch that's just about unhittable and blows the thing up.
I like taking chances. I like putting runners in motion and forcing the issue.
And you're right, Gary. His last start against the Mets in April, he had what? One swing and miss in 91 pitches.
Right, and a very successful outing.
I just think, Ronnie, with the way Pinheiro's throwing, you want to get even in this game.
Khalil Green makes the toss to Pujols to get Hernandez for the 2nd out. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. So the Phillies escape from Philadelphia and well on their way to a win. 2 out and nobody on. Alex Cora takes a strike. Cora twice has grounded out to the right side tonight.
That's 14 ground ball outs now, Gary.
And 13 putouts for the first baseman.
And the record was?
The record is 22.
It was held by several people.
They've done 5 times, most recently in 1988 by Alvin Davis.
You said Ernie Banks was in there with the only National Leaguer was Ernie Banks.
National Leaguer 1963. Banks had 22 putouts.
And I can see that because when I came up, not like today where they keep the infield and the outfield so manicured, like almost like a putting green. Chicago used to always put right-hand, left-hand sinker ball pitchers in their starting rotation and out of their bullpen and let the grass grow around 3 inches and let the grass just gobble ground balls up.
Lofted out to the second baseman Schumacher, who puts it away to end the inning. So Pinheiro continues to stymie the Mets, and Hernandez will try and keep pace in the 7th. The Mets, as he is 2 for 2 on the night. Livan, 5 hits over 6 innings and the unearned run. 89 pitches.
Put him like Babe Ruth, take him out of that rotation and put him in the lineup every day.
Pinheiro doubled to left and single to left center. And he takes a strike from Livan.
Keith, I saw Pinheiro on the on-deck circle. I winked at him and gave him that motion of the bat, like, what a hitter you are tonight. He gave me that look like, who knew?
Well, he had only 3 hits all year before the 2 tonight. Pinheiro, a guy who spent the early portion of his career in the American League, so came late to hitting in the big leagues. And Livan taking it a little more seriously this time. Gets ahead 1-2.
Just a tad. Nice cut in that curveball, by the way. I always liked the Cardinals back when I was a young kid when they went on the road, Garrett, and they had the Navy helmet, the Navy hats. When I played with the Cardinals, we were always red on the road and as well as home.
Little looper. Cora retreating. And they finally retire Pinheiro. That's the first out in the 7th. Look, it's a vintage jersey.
How about that?
I assume that's number 37.
I would probably is.
Todd Wellemeyer jersey.
Well,
sorry.
It's a pitcher's number, really.
37 is a very strange number for a position player.
Yes, it was, but it worked for me.
Think about it. Do you know anybody else?
No.
Who's worn 37?
I don't think so.
Well, Casey Stengel was a position player. He was an outfielder.
That's true.
Did he wear 37 when he played?
I don't know.
Here's Brendan Ryan, and he takes outside for ball one. Did they have numbers when Casey played?
That's true.
Back in the teens? Maybe not.
There's another one.
They're everywhere. They're very big. 1-1 to Ryan. Well, Ronnie, you're about 3 feet away from home plate, right at ground level. We know how big the outfield looks from up here. How does it look from down there?
Boy, it just looks cavernous, and I'm saying it to a guy at the plate who had a home run last night, his first in 434 at bats. But it looks like it goes on forever to the Modell sign from where I'm sitting here. A little bit on the third base side, but Martinez is playing deep and still has 100 feet behind him. That'll tell you how big this ballpark is.
Ryan bluffing the button, takes a strike.
Ah, there's Mr. Darling when he was number 12. Someone's got your number 12 uniform, Ron.
Very nice. Started with 44. Now that's a hitter's number.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys should have traded. Ryan fouls it off. Still 1-2. Ryan took over the shortstop's job while Khalil Green was on the disabled list. Played well enough that Green's now a third baseman. Skip Schumacher on deck. And the slow curve. Huge foul.
You know, one thing I've never seen from Levon as a Met, I've seen him do it before occasionally. I've never seen him back up that slow curve twice in a row.
Oh, there's a nice shot. That's your vantage point, Ron.
Yeah.
You're showing right now.
It's beautiful here, I'm telling you. I like this kid, Ryan. Don't you, Keith? Brings a lot of energy to the field.
Like his socks. Line the other way and a base hit for Ryan. So he's 2 for 3 on the night. And the Cardinals have their 6th hit off Levon.
You're down there with our favorite cameraman outside of Al, Pete. That great shot. Al, you're number 1. Don't worry. Pete, you're number 2.
And what do you have to say about all the rest of our?
They're aces in my book.
They're all tied for 3rd. Is that what you're saying?
There's Pete. Oh. Pete's a homer. Look at the hat.
Yeah, he's got the old time cap, right?
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Schumacher, who's walked, reached on an error, and had a base hit. He's also stolen a base tonight. 1 for 2. 4th time around the batting order now for Levon, who's about to throw his 100th pitch of the night.
And once again, most importantly, with this taxed bullpen, even though the Mets made some moves to put some fresh arms in there, they're getting another night where the starters are going deep into the ball game. Gary, so critical.
Tim Redding went 7 innings plus last night. And Levon pitching in the 7th tonight. Jerry Manuel said before the game that Feliciano and Green are both available tonight, but he'd still like to stay away from Bobby Parnell. And there's a strike to Schumacher. He said further about Parnell that, you know, here's a kid who's tried to make the transition from being a starter to a big leaguer. He's been pitching in nothing but tight spots, and it's given him really no chance to work on the secondary pitches that he needs to develop. If you look at the pitch count on Levon. So I think Jerry's going to look for a little softer spot to get Parnell in next time. Up and away, 1-1 to Schumacher.
Well, this bullpen, you know, with the injury to J.J. Putz, and even before he got hurt, there was a juggling of who was this. There's been a constant interchange of who's the 7th inning guy, the 8th inning guy, mainly because of performance.
Well, Brian Stokes certainly put a hat in the ring last night.
Levon does such a wonderful job of holding runners close at first base, and he's quick home. He's got a decent move to first, but he really changes his how long he holds the ball. He has no set pattern where the base stealer can get a gauge on him when he breaks to throw home.
Ryan has 6 steals this year. Schumacher lofts one down the left field side. Slicing, fair ball. Landed inside the line and hopped into the stands. It's a ground rule double for Skip Schumacher. Just a little flare that fell in along the line and hopped into the stands. Schumacher's 14th double of the year.
Well, just slicing the opposite field Texas leaguer here, and that gets out of play, and it sets up the identical situation, except for 1 out back in the 3rd, when Levon had to face Chris Duncan with runners on 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and got him the pop up, which enabled him then with the open base to walk Pujols. So this is the critical at bat in this game right now.
So Ryan is at 3rd, Schumacher at 2nd. The Mets will have to bring the infield in, which you hate to do with runners at 2nd and 3rd. But down by a run in the 7th, as good as Pinero's been, they'll do just that. And Duncan takes a call strike.
You know, guys, it was interesting when Chris Duncan was on the on-deck circle here. Every time Levon threw a pitch, he went into his batting stance and then called out the pitch after every single time Levon threw something. Almost like he was trying to get in a little repetitive mode on what Levon is throwing to left-handed hitters.
So the 2 new guys, Elmer DeSenz and Pat Mish, up in the Mets bullpen. Off the corner with a fastball, 1-1.
Interesting. First pitch to Duncan was a fastball in that kind of froze him. Had some plate, but froze him as you look at the all-world hitter right there in Albert Pujols. I just think that Levon just spotted that fastball away just to show him something away. Here comes a pitch he wants with a purpose.
But it's too far inside, 2-1.
Ronnie, you agree there?
I think that, Keith, whenever he needs a strikeout against a left-handed hitter, he is going to do enough away and then pop him inside to get that called 3rd strike. So not this 2-1 count. You might see something, a little change up away. If he can somehow get to 2-2, he will definitely come back in with that fastball that tails back out over the plate. That is the strikeout pitch against lefties.
Duncan's gone 0 for 3 tonight. Hit a fly ball to the warning track in left field his last time.
And you see the Mets having to play the infield in. In a pitcher's duel like this with Pinero in a groove.
I think if the Mets had more of their offense intact, they might play the infield back and concede a 2nd run. No?
They might.
With 9 outs to play with?
Ouch. They might. Something's in my ear. Sorry. I got a little crackle. Yes, they might, Gare. Depending on how good Jerry feels Pinero is.
And he's been great so far. Here's the 2-1 to Duncan. Again inside. It's 3-1.
Okay, here comes a
little faulty, so don't use it right now.
Here comes a pitch where Duncan cannot get over anxious. And one thing's for certain, Ronnie, he does not want to walk Duncan, correct?
Well, yes, you don't, but you also have a guy in Duncan that on these counts he just can kill you if you lay it in there. So I would expect that this would be another pitch that he's going to try to see if Duncan gets himself out, something off the strike zone.
And he walked him, and now Pujols will come to bat with the bases loaded. You know, the Mets have avoided this the entire series to this point, but now all of a sudden Albert comes to the plate in a spot where there's no working around him.
And they cannot play the infield in now with Pujols up. They got to play back for 2.
Well, Dan Worthen heads to the mound. Ronnie, what would you tell him?
Well, I don't think there is anything to tell him. We're talking about a guy, Livan Hernandez, who's been around. He's faced Pujols so many times. He knows that he might have screwed up not getting Duncan there and having to face Pujols here with 1 out. But the bottom line is, you guys upstairs and me, who do you want in there? No, this is nothing against Elmer DeSenz, who just came up from Buffalo. Do you want DeSenz or do you want Livan Hernandez going against Pujols? I'll take my chances with Livan.
Well, this is the beauty of the game right here. This is the game. We've got a pinch runner coming into first base.
Joe Thurston will run for Duncan at first base.
But this is the beauty of the game right here. This is, the, as Frank Zappa would say, the crux of the biscuit of this ball game.
Well, Pujols this year has had 4 at-bats with the bases loaded, and he's hit 3 grand slams. He's got the bases loaded and 1 out, with the Cardinals leading 1-0 in the 7th. Pujols 0 for 2 tonight. And he attacks the first one and rams a base hit to left. That brings home Ryan. Schumacher heads home as well. Tatis's throw is cut off. A 2-run single for Pujols puts the Cardinals up 3-0.
First ball hitting. And I believe it was a slider that hung over the plate. Let's see. Yes, it didn't break much. Did it, Ron? Was it a fastball or a cutter?
No, I think it was a little cutter on the outside part. Just stayed right there.
So Pujols doesn't waste any time. First ball, fastball hitting. Drives in a big 2 runs.
70 runs batted in now for Pujols. That leads the league. So 2 runs are home in the 7th. Still only 1 out. 2 aboard for Ryan Ludwig, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Pickoff try. 2 men cover, and Castillo tags out Thurston. Cora and Castillo both went for the bag, and Castillo handles the throw from Levon, who picks off Joe Thurston, the pinch runner.
Well, just a beautiful pickoff here. And on the other side of the coin, you're sent into a ball game to pinch run, and you get picked off. Not a good thing. He might have got back safe. That does not enamor you with your manager.
Listen, he had such a big lead that both infielders wanted to pick him off.
You ever have that, Ronnie, where both the second baseman and shortstop were in position?
No, but he had such a big lead that Castillo wanted to go too. Step off for Hernandez.
And now Pujols is tagged out at second base. So the Cardinals lose 2 base runners without a single pitch being thrown. A pickoff of Thurston, a caught stealing of Pujols, and the Cardinals run themselves out of an inning. 3-0 St. Louis.
He was in high school, didn't speak a lick of English, 16 years old. His cousin asked the principal if he could try out for the baseball team. So the baseball coach said, well, I'll give you 13 pitches to show me what you could do. 12 of those 13, Pujols hit out of the yard. So even at that age, he had it. Back to you guys.
Sign him up.
Remember the first time we saw Pujols in spring training, he had come out of single A the year before, and he was just so polished, a guy who just couldn't seem to fool no matter what you threw him.
Well, he's a special talent. There's just no question. He is the premier player of his generation. There is just no question about it. If you're going to build your team and you want to go with an offensive player, that's your man.
Daniel Murphy leading off the bottom of the 7th. Grounds one out to Brendan Ryan, who makes the running toss on target for the first out.
I think it's more important to add something else. That's the 15th ground ball out, by the way, for Pinheiro, is that Pujols is such a positive force in the clubhouse, such a great work ethic. It's always great to have your best player as the one that sets the shining example, and that's what Pujols does.
Now here's David Wright, who's grounded to third and struck out 0 for 2. Mets have had just one hit tonight. There's a strike. Cardinals make 2 defensive changes. Joe Thurston, who pitched ran, stays in the game at second base. And Skip Schumacher moves out to left field. One and one to Wright. That's only hit came with 1 out in the third. Luis Castillo singled up the middle. The only other base runner the Mets had. Castillo walked leading off in the 6th. Mets tried to hit and run with Livan Hernandez at the plate. That didn't work, and Castillo was thrown out. Elmer descends, one of the call-ups from yesterday, up in the bullpen as Wright gets drilled. So Pinheiro hits David Wright.
Oh, unintentional, trying to come inside. This one gets away. Watch Pinheiro's reaction. Mad at himself because, hey, he's got a 3-run lead. He's got to run a goose egg up here after his team has scored 2 runs.
Third batter that Pinheiro's hit this season. Now Tatis, who's been up twice and grounded out both times. Little chance that David's going to be running here. Down by 3 runs in the 7th. Third baseman playing back. Tatis shows bunt, 1-0.
Not a good move by Tatis, trying to draw Khalil Green in, because Tatis has been pulling the ball on the ground this whole series. So he doesn't seem to be taking the bait. He's still playing deep at third.
Now comes a few steps in right before the pitch, and a double play ball to short. Tatis hits into another double play, 6-4-3, and that gets the Cardinals through the bottom of the 7th. 3 double plays in 2 nights for Tatis. Another strong outing from Fernando Nieve as they continue their series against the Cardinals here at Citi Field. Mets Cardinals coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 only on SNY. Well, after the Cardinals came in, Tony La Russa talking to Joe Thurston, who got picked off second base in the last inning. And you see Thurston getting picked off at second. And then Tony went over and talked to Pujols, who subsequently broke early, and Livan stepped off and threw him out.
Well, I believe that Tony was displaying his displeasure at Albert here, trying to get the he looked like he wanted to get a delayed steal there. And it just goes to show how professional Pujols is. He's not above the manager.
Well, you got to pick a different pitcher if you're going to pull that on, not a veteran guy. And secondly, it was interesting, Keith, that La Russa chose to go to Thurston after he came back from being in the field. Did not want to really get on him before he went out for his defensive position.
Elmer Descends, making his Mets debut, was pitching very well at Buffalo. 37-year-old right-hander from Mexico, pitched briefly for the Braves last year. He has been all over the yard after starting his career in Pittsburgh. And Ludwig takes just off the plate, 2-2. Mets called up Descends. They also called up Pat Mish to give them some depth in a bullpen that has been staggered of late.
Boy, Descends' rookie year, he got called up from Pittsburgh in '96.
Grounded down to David Wright. A long throw to make, right on target to get Ludwig. One away. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Boy, Andrew Miller in that game, started for Florida, had allowed just one hit through the first 7. Castillo on the backhand picks off Ankiel's ground ball and throws him out, so Descends quickly retires his first 2. So 2 out and nobody on in the top of the 8th, and now Yadier Molina, who's 1 for 3 on the night, single to right in the 6th. Livan Hernandez went 7 innings. He allowed 3 runs and 8 hits. Another good start for Livan. Only 2 of the 3 runs against him were earned. But the Mets have not scored for him, and so he's in danger of just his 2nd loss of the season.
He walked 3, 1 intentional.
I don't know if you guys can see it upstairs, but Elmer Descends, before he delivers the ball from his windup, is pointed right at me. And I literally am down the third base side. Very strange to see him before he turns and then delivers to the plate.
Why do you think he does that, Ronnie?
Most pitchers who do that, Gary, they do it because they've always had a problem in their career with their front shoulder flying open. So if you stay closed right from the start, that's a reminder to keep that front shoulder closed.
Right back to Descends, who makes a nice grab. A 1-2-3 inning for Elmer Descends in his Mets debut. Descends impressive from high and impressive from down low as well. Over the first 7 innings against Joel Pinheiro. They've been down this road before with Pinheiro. Now Ryan Church will lead off the bottom of the 8th, and don't even think about Pinheiro getting tired. He's only thrown 69 pitches through the first 7 innings.
Less than 10 pitches per inning.
Pinheiro's already had a complete game shutout this year in which he threw just 92 against the Cubs. And every Met fan will remember his effort 2 years ago in September when, with the Cardinals coming in for a makeup game the final week of the season, he shut the Mets out for 8 innings. Brian Stokes up in the Mets bullpen. 2-1 to Church, who's grounded out twice. 16 ground balls have produced 17 outs for Joel Pinheiro. And now he's behind on Church 3-1. He's walked 1. He's struck out 1. When he faced the Mets earlier this year in St. Louis and pitched 8 solid innings, he didn't strike out a single batter. No mind. He won that game 5-2. And Church hits one to center field, chasing Ankiel back, and he makes the catch, tumbling backwards as he went a little too far.
Looked like that ball just overreacted, overran it. Nice recovery.
You know, Keith, from my angle here, Keith and Gary, that ball had a lot of top spin on it. So that ball, even though it went out, you could see it dropping from this angle very quickly.
So now Omir Santos is grounded to third and fly to center 0 for 2. After his career high 4-hit night last night.
There's RJ.
You know, it's pretty interesting, Keith, and we've said it all the time since we've been here in Citi Field. Here there was a 3-1 count. Pinheiro's got a lead of 3 runs, and he decided, you know what, I'm just going to throw it down the middle. Let's see what happens. And he gets a line drive hit right on the nose by Church, but he gets an out. So it tells you at times, especially in this ballpark, aggressive is always better when you have a little bit of a lead.
Santos bounces it foul 1-2. The game is over in St. Pete. The Phillies have beaten the Rays 10-1. So the Phillies snapped their 6-game losing streak.
You know, another thing too, Ronnie, is that when a pitcher goes this long right now with Pinheiro, you get into a groove, don't you? Just everything's just like nice and easy.
And it is. You can see that he honestly, as soon as he releases that pitch, he is backing up and has his mind completely on the next pitch. And also, it's one of those games that happens a lot nowadays because of the pitch count, where the manager will take the pitcher out after 7. He's been unbelievably sharp. And what happens is the opponents will say, oh boy, sigh of relief, I'm finally bringing someone else in. But with this pitch count, he's in here to stay unless the Mets come out of charge.
This will be the 80th pitch of the night for Pinheiro. 3-2 to Santos. And he bounces one to Khalil Green. Everything on the ground. 2 out. So 2 out and nobody on. Well, it was September of 2007 when Joel Pinheiro, who had not been having a great year, in a spot where the Mets desperately needed a win, completely shut them down.
And it was a quick game too, Gare.
It was game number 158 for the Mets that year, right before they played the Marlins that final series in 2007, and it was a crusher and helped push the Mets to the brink of their collapse. 1-1 to Fernando Martinez, is grounded to short and grounded to second. The Braves have won tonight. They shut out the Yankees 4-0 behind Tommy Hanson, as Brian Stokes continues to throw in the Mets bullpen.
How about Tommy Hanson?
Hanson now 3-0. Chen-Ming Wang took the loss, now 0-6. The Mets will see Wang on Sunday.
The question is, will they get Sabathia on Friday?
Well, Sabathia says he will definitely be going. 1-2 to Martinez in the dirt. So the Phillies have won. The Braves have won. The Marlins let a 5-run lead get away, and they're in the 11th inning now with Baltimore tied up at 6. The Marlins began the night just a game and a half behind the Mets. rip foul. It's the second loud foul that Fernando's hit tonight. That's that Florida game going to the 11th.
There's Washington on the, looks like he'll be on the losing side again.
Well, they had their 4-game winning streak.
Yes, they did on the road. I just had a feeling they'd go back home.
Love that scoreboard.
I do too.
Right back to Pinheiro. Nice snag. And Pinheiro produces his 18th ground ball, producing 19 outs. He's one hit the Mets through 8. 3-0 Cardinals. Khalil Green will lead things off. Flied out, popped up, grounded into a double play. And he pulls the first pitch foul.
That means a chance for a rare complete game.
And for Pinheiro of late, a rare win. Because despite pitching well, he'd gone 1-8 over his last 9 starts.
They haven't been scoring a lot of runs for him. I believe they scored 8 runs for him in his last 5 starts.
All of which were losses. Well, he hasn't needed a lot of runs tonight.
He's going to make his record, improve his record to 6-8 if he wins.
You know, those guys, there's a few signals that you know if they happen, you've definitely had a nice game in the National League as a pitcher. You're talking about a shutout, talking about a complete game. 4 at-bats is always a really good sign for a pitcher that he's had a nice game in the National League.
Marginally easier goal to reach when you're batting 8th. It's the 0-2, and Green down swinging at the slider, so Descends has his first strikeout. So 1 away. Well, you know how we've been saying all along that during this stretch to the All-Star break, the Mets only have 1 more game against a team with a losing record. The Pirates make up. Well, the Reds lost tonight. They're now under 500. So now they have 3 more games against the team with a losing record.
And the Pirates are no slouches. The one thing about that Pirate team, and then remember, they took 3 games from the Mets in Pittsburgh. It was almost a blessing that there was a rain out that day. The Pirates play tough. They hustle.
And they've got speed at the top of that batting order now. Pinheiro grounds 1 out to Castillo, and that's the 2nd out. So 5 up and 5 down for Elmer Descends. Well, Pinheiro will be trying to accomplish something against the Mets in the 9th inning that has not been accomplished in 6 years. The last 1-hit complete game shutout against the Mets, you got to go back to 2003 when Dontrell Willis beat the Mets 1-0 in Florida in June of 2003, a complete game 1-hit shutout.
And you remember Dontrell owned the Mets back in his heyday,
which wasn't all that long ago.
No, it wasn't. Shooting
boy,
star.
Boy, if things change.
And that's the story right there.
Brendan Ryan has 2 of the Cardinals' 8 hits, and he pulls one down to David Wright. Well, quite a Mets debut for Elmer DeScens. He faces 6 and retires 6 in short order. Now it's all on Pinheiro. He'll face 8, 9, and 1 in the order as the Mets try and get something going in the bottom of the ninth. On SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Citi, by Honda, and by Corona. Enjoy responsibly. Last of the ninth, the Mets in danger of being shut out for the 3rd time this year. The Gary Sheffield fans are in the kitchen, but it is not Sheffield on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher. It is Jeremy Reed behind Luis Castillo, who has been the recipient of the only Met hit tonight. He singled up the middle in the 3rd inning. He also drew a walk in the 6th. The only other base runner for the Mets, David Wright, who was hit by a pitch in the 7th.
Well, Ronnie talked earlier about how a pitcher knows he's having a good day. There's Jeremy Reed going to pinch hit for DeScens. What's also a good sign, when a pitcher gets up 4 times, but also a good sign is if he goes 1, 2, 3 here, only one batter, the leadoff hitter, hits 4 times in the game. That's kind of mowing through the order.
Faced 1 over the minimum tonight. 3 base runners. 1 was erased on a caught stealing. 1 on a double play. 1-2. Grounded to the right side. Easy for Thurston. And that's the first out in the bottom of the 9th. That is 19 ground balls, producing 20 outs of the 25 recorded by Joel Pinheiro. And remember, this is a guy who is relatively new to being a sinker ball pitcher, and he has embraced it wholeheartedly, and he has pitched the game of his life tonight. And unfortunately for the Mets, not the first time we've used those words regarding Pinheiro. Ball 1 to Jeremy Reed.
Well, Keith and Gary, from my vantage point, I mentioned it before, very hard to pick up the baseball, but we always talk about movement on the baseball. He has it, but from my vantage point, very late. Hard to pick it up. I mean, it really darts at the last minute.
Well, more importantly, there's Ronnie's vantage point right there, Ron, is from the 8th inning on, the 3-run lead. Once he got that 3rd run.
Reed lines one into center field, and the Mets had their 2nd hit of the night.
Well, I was just going to make the point, Ronnie, that at this stage of the ballgame, when you get the 3-run lead, you know the opposing team is going to be taking strike 1. And he's been pouring in a fastball first pitch to get ahead.
That's one of the first pitches that he has thrown over the knees all night. Again, with the sign for the knees, and elevated about 8 to 10 inches, taken advantage of by Jeremy Reed.
So now the Mets need 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. The Cardinal closer Ryan Franklin, who's been brilliant this year, gets up in the St. Louis bullpen.
Hey, you never know.
Cora is 0 for 3 tonight, grounded out twice and popped up. And taking all the way for ball 1. They got Murphy and Wright behind Cora, so if he can get on, the Mets would be in a position to try to make something happen. Held to just one hit over the first 8 1/3. Now Reed with the pinch hit single. One and one to Cora.
In at third base. Pujols halfway, kind of in nowhere's land.
And Cora taking all the way, 1 and 2.
Well, that's what we're talking about, Gary. They're just pouring in that fastball. Such confidence in that fastball to get a ground ball.
One, two. Ground ball right side. Thurston will go to first. And that's the second out. Reed moves up to second, but now the Mets are down to their final out of the night. Daniel Murphy will try and keep it going. He's had a trio of 6 threes on his ledger tonight. He's not alone. 20 ground balls for 21 outs.
And there's the defense deep in the outfield. Not so much Ankiel in center. And La Russa on the phone here.
And Murphy takes a strike.
I just wonder, he's got a decision. If Murph gets a single, does he bring in his closer, Ryan Franklin, who's been tremendous, to face right?
Now Murphy lays off and it's high. I don't know. I think in a different year you would. But with David not hitting home runs this season, I think you'd have to give Pinheiro a chance to face him, wouldn't you?
Well, David's 0 for 2. He got hit by a pitch his last at bat. That's a tough decision for your manager right there.
Pinheiro about to throw his 100th pitch of the night. And Murphy grounds one toward the middle, but Thurston is there, and the ball game is over. Joel Pinheiro pitches a complete game 2-hitter, the first 2-hitter of his major league career, his 5th career shutout and his 2nd this season. The Mets are shut out for only the 3rd time this year, as the Cardinals even up the series at a game apiece on brilliant pitching by Joel Pinheiro.
Well, it was all Pinheiro here tonight, and of course Pujols right there drove in the 2 insurance runs.